So today, we are making what is considered to be one of the most classic tapas dishes that hail from Spain. We're talking patatas alioli. Now, just the other day, I had some patatas alioli over at a restaurant in the gorgeous town of Peníscola in the Spanish Mediterranean coast. Now, this dish is typically made with fried potatoes or more traditionally with boiled potatoes. Then you coat it with some homemade garlic alioli, and finally, you can serve it either at room temperature or even cold, folks. This is what Spanish cuisine is all about, and truly a dish that when you take that first bite, it's gonna instantly transport you to beautiful España. Really quick before we begin, a shout out to one of my patrons, Karen Bird. Once again, Karen, thank you so much for being a patron of Spain on a Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. All right, let's begin by cutting 3 medium-sized potatoes that have been peeled, washed, and patted dry, each one into small pieces that are 1/2 inch thick, which is a little over 1 1/4 centimeters. And as you're cutting your potatoes, transfer them into a stock pot. Once all the potatoes have been cut and into the stock pot, make sure they're in a flat layer and fill it with some cold water, just enough to barely cover the potatoes. We'll season generously with sea salt and heat it with a high heat. Now the secret to this recipe is to cook these potatoes al dente, which means they're going to be fully cooked through but still have a bit of a firm texture. If you overcook them, they're going to get mushy and they're going to lose all their texture. After about 14 to 15 minutes, these potatoes should be perfectly cooked. You know, you can always pierce them with a toothpick, and if it easily goes in, but with some resistance, they are ready to go. Once again, you don't want to overcook your potatoes. I'm going to remove the stock pot from the heat and drain the potatoes into a colander. And we'll give the colander a quick shake to remove any of the excess water in the potatoes and then let them rest here at room temperature. While the potatoes are cooling off, let's make the alioli. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make 2 different types of alioli. That way you can make the one that you prefer. For the first one, we're making a garlic mayonnaise alioli. Let's begin by adding in a generous 1/2 cup of mayonnaise into a mortar, which is 130 grams. The beauty of this alioli is that it comes together effortlessly and you can easily veganize it by using vegan mayonnaise. Then I'm going to finely grate 1 large clove of garlic. If you don't have a grater, you can use finely mince it. We'll squeeze in 1/2 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice, which is about 3 milliliters, and add in 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, which is 15 milliliters. We'll lightly season with a little sea salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. And we'll whisk it together until all the ingredients are evenly mixed. For the second alioli, we're making a homemade garlic alioli, which is the one that's traditionally used to make this recipe. Let's begin by adding in 3 cloves of garlic that have been roughly chopped into a mortar, pinching in a little sea salt, and pound down on the garlic until you form a paste. Then we'll add in 1 egg yolk at room temperature, and once again, squeeze in 1/2 teaspoon of fresh lemon juice, which is 3 milliliters. And start mixing everything together in a circular motion, and at the same time, add in 1/2 cup of extra virgin olive oil, which is 120 milliliters. If you want your alioli to have more of a mild flavor, you can use sunflower oil. Either way, the secret here, make sure you slowly add in that olive oil while you continue to mix this in a circular motion. This is going to help emulsify it. That way you end up with a thick and creamy sauce. If you add in the oil in there too quickly, it's going to cut the alioli and you're not going to end up with a beautiful thick and creamy sauce. Once the alioli is done, let's move back to the potatoes. They've been resting here for about 15 minutes and they have slightly cooled off so you can easily handle them. I'm going to transfer them into a large bowl and pour the alioli over the potatoes. For the final ingredient, I'm going to grab a handful of fresh parsley, finely chop it, and add in 2 tablespoons of the finely chopped parsley into the bowl, which is about 8 grams. And we'll gently mix this together until each piece of potato is coated in the alioli and the parsley. And once again, remember to be gentle here, otherwise you can easily break the potatoes apart. Then I'm going to cover the potatoes with saran wrap and add them into the fridge for at least 30 minutes. That way they can slightly cool off and all the flavors can develop. But if you prefer, you can serve these right away. After at least 30 minutes, I'm going to remove the potatoes from the fridge and transfer them into a serving dish. And check it out, our patatas alioli are done. You know, I've made this dish here before on Spain on Fork many years ago. In fact, it was one of my first videos. This is an improved version with a more beautiful presentation and even more flavor thanks to that beautiful parsley. Either way, this came out looking so delicious. Let's get these potatoes a try and see how they taste. Now this is what classic Spanish food is all about. Here we go. Absolutely delicious. The potatoes are perfectly cooked through, but they still have some texture to them. That way they don't fall apart. Then you mix the potatoes in with the garlic, alioli, and truly is an explosion of so much flavor. So you saw this so easy to make, simple ingredients. Try this at home, and like I told you earlier, it's going to give you an instant trip to beautiful Spain. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button. Leave me a comment below, and if you're not subscribed, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button. Till the next time, hasta luego.